Hello and welcome to Life with Jane. This week I thought that we would do I'm obviously going to tell you what's going to be on my videos on Wednesday and on Friday. I've got a quick spring tour of the garden because obviously we're springtime now, beginning of March, and a lot of things are starting to creep up out of the ground. Little buds are coming, so I thought I'd do a quick tour of the garden, which you'll see later in the video. I also want to do a recap of the lovely bacon and onion pudding that I did. Bacon and onion roly-poly. Rasher pudding is what I originally had titled it and what I originally knew it as. But it's one of those things that a lot of people had no idea what rasher pudding was, so it wasn't getting any views at all. So I thought, right, I'll change it to bacon and onion pudding and see what happens there. And I've got a lot more views on that and a lot of amazing comments and things. And I wanted to just recap on some of those because I don't know if all of you read the comments. I read every single one of them and reply, and I think the stories are just amazing, so I wanted to recap on that. And I think that's probably it this week. I've got my little notes as always, so I have my little notebook so I don't forget anything. So let's start with the pudding. So I thought I would tell you a little bit about, if you noticed at the beginning, I know that people across the pond, as we say, so people in America and Canada and parts of Australia had absolutely no idea about suet pudding. In fact, some of people had not used suet at all, which I found a bit extraordinary. And I suppose maybe you don't have Christmas puddings. Because all Christmas puddings are made with suet and fruit, and that's what a Christmas pudding is, that you at Christmas time put a piece of holly in and light it and cover it with brandy and flame it, and it's Christmas time. But maybe that's something that we don't have in America. So interesting to hear whether you do, because that's obviously made with suet. So I thought I would tell you the history of and why maybe people don't know about it in America. Because suet is, or the brand that we know most of in the UK is Atora. And I'm reading, because I've got my screen so I can read exactly what it says on the Atora website. It says Atora sells enough suet every year to make 1 million dumplings a week. After all, it really is the UK's favourite suet. We can trace our history back to 1893, when Gabriel Hugon set up the first ever factory to manufacture shredded suet in Manchester. So it was very much a northern thing to start off with. Since then, Atora has been recognised as a convenient, economical and reliable food with good storage life. In fact, a tin of Atora suet was among the supplies taken by Captain Scott on his historical trek to the Antarctic in the early 1900s. There we go. So that shows. And where did the name Atora come from? The name Atora was derived from toro. Toro, the Spanish word for bull. So Atora, so Tora for bull, which is quite interesting. So inspired by the fact that suet comes from beef cattle. Hugon used this association in an early marketing initiative. Carts emblazoned with the company name were used for delivery, pulled by 2 oxen. So there we go. That's the history. Now, in this country, you can now buy vegetable suet made by Atora as well. So you can have the beef suet, or you can have the vegetable suet. I tend to buy the vegetable suet because I don't eat a lot of beef or meat products a lot. And I tend to prefer, if I can buy an alternative, I will do so. And that's just my personal choice. But that's what Atora is. So if you want to look it up, please do, because I think that was exciting. And now I want to go through some of the lovely comments and stories that we had. So first of all, thank you to everybody that commented this week. We had, going from the bottom to the top, we had Anne, thank you very much, Anne, Anne P. We had Carol B, lovely comment. Tanya, as always. Judy, as always, thank you so much, you're always appreciated. We had Sylvia A, who was turning around and saying, oh my goodness, you know, bacon and onion pudding. I was just talking about that to one of my friends. We were both born in the 50s and we thought that it might have been a Kentish. So Kent is a county, so a Kentish custom, and didn't know whether it was used elsewhere in the country. So now, Sylvia, you now know that it is right the way across the country, and a Tora was actually first manufactured in Manchester. So there we go. And she had found an old recipe from her mother in her books and things, the same as me, that I've got recipes and things from my mum. And her mum is now 94. So fantastic, what an amazing age to have got to, and brilliant. We then had Wendy C. So Wendy C remembered the Onion Man. You know, I was turning around and saying about onions that you couldn't go and buy onions in the shops very easily because they didn't have them about very much. But you used to have an Onion Man who came on a bicycle and had all the onions sort of plaited together, hung over the bicycle, and that's what he had. And she says that she remembers the Onion Man, and her Onion Man, she remembers him as being French, so he wore a beret, and he was called Onion Johnny. So, you know, again, interesting that people remember different things from different areas, and, you know, I've no idea what I should probably try and look it up. I might try and look it up for next week's and let you know a little bit more about that. And then we had a wonderful, a new person who commented. I don't know a Christian name or anything, but it was BDF. And her mother Daisy was born in 1903. And she remembers, or she used to make puddings in the pudding basins. So you would make your sweet or your savoury, and you'd roll out the pastry and you'd line the pudding basin, put all the filling inside, then put the lid on top of, you know, pastry lid. Then you would put it, tie it with string and put it into the steamer and steam it for 2.5 hours. And I was saying that's probably why I was doing the one where you roll it up, because mine took 1.5 hours. So, you know, nearly an hour less, because being rolled, it's not as fat. Whereas if it's in a basin, you've got the whole of the circumference, the whole of the inside to make sure it's cooked and everything. So, but that was, you know, a lovely story as well. So I'm so grateful for all of those. I think it made for a really good community comment last week. So thank you for that. And as I say, please add your comments through on any of the recipes I put up, because it's always rather exciting. So this week, on the spring theme, as I say, after the next part of this video is going to be about a quick tour of the garden. But on Wednesday, I'm doing a spring clean of one of my cupboards. So I expect you all find that you have stuff in your cupboards that gets out of date. Everything you've got stacked up needs to be restacked, put in date order, make sure it's in the right date, clean all the cupboard down, and then put everything back neatly and tidily. So that's what we're going to be doing on Wednesday, because it's the start of March, and I always think of March as spring cleaning time. Spring cleaning in the garden, getting everything tidy, cutting out down all the dead foliage and things in the house, again going through all the drawers and cupboards, making sure that you start bringing out your spring and summer wardrobe, you start putting your winter wardrobe away. If you do that, if you've got lots of room, then you don't need to do that. I always tend to put one season away and bring the other season forward so that I can wear more of that season. Says me in a thick jumper today, because it's -3 this morning, so it's freezing cold. And when you see the tour of the garden, you'll see me actually the little bird feeder that I've got, a bird bath, which is a little water one. is absolutely full of ice, and you can see how cold it is. But beautiful sunshine today, so it will be beautiful later on, which is lovely. So yes, Friday's recipe is Granny's lemon, or Gran's lemon drizzle cake. There it is. So that's the recipe. You can see the writing on the side, and that's my mum's writing, because my mum, a bit like me, was did everything in ounces. So you can see that in ounces. You can screenshot that if you want, but it comes up at the end of the week. And as I say, it's Gran's lemon drizzle cake, a recipe from the 70s. So again, hopefully it will be one that you'll all like. So please stay tuned for the garden. Apologies if my sound is quite quiet, because obviously in the garden you've got all of the noise of the birds and things like that going on, and the water from the little pond and things, and I haven't got a microphone. I am looking into getting a microphone, but I try and keep it sort of as real as it is, and I know that I'm not a professional person, and I don't want to be. I'm just me, and I just chat to you, and hopefully you can hear it all right. The sound seemed to be fine for me, and I've only had one person that said that she couldn't. In fact, Tanya was saying that she had trouble struggling last week, so I don't know why that was, but hopefully everything will be fine this week for you. But the garden part, you've got all of the garden noise, so I'm probably a bit quieter than I normally am. But stay tuned. As always, stay safe, be well, be kind, and enjoy the garden part coming up now. Hello everyone, I thought we'd do a little tour of the greenhouse, so and the garden, just to see how things are beginning to start. So I've got a couple of little rose cuttings in here, and in that pot I've started a few little tomato seeds, and we'll be doing some more together, but I thought I'd just show you a little bit of how things begin. So this is my area where I do most of my planting and things, my beautiful old copper watering can, which I absolutely adore. And then down here I've got a large trough which I've just literally put compost in at the moment, from my compost heap, which I'll show you. And it needs to have some more compost put on top, so it comes almost to the top of the boards. And this was just made out of old, if I come back a bit so you can see it, it was made out of old decking boards, and I've just got that as a trough, and then I've got decking boards on the floor. It's a very old greenhouse that was given to me, and I will show you if I just walk back up here. You can see it's quite a good size, and that's the greenhouse. Then I've got my water butt, which is here, which is almost full now because of the winter, which is good. I'm trying to go around slowly. Those are my compost bins, which one of them is, I've been doing some bits in the garden, so you can see just in there the compost bits, and then that's the second one which just needs coming down. I've trimmed my, my shadow's in here now. I've trimmed my raspberries down, so I've cut the canes down in the springtime, so that works well. You can see those in on here, and then that's my, down here, that's my summer house, which is cast as a shed at the moment. And then I can come back round here. I'm trying to do it slowly as I can without whizzing up too quickly. Go back down on the garden. There's my little dog sitting there looking nicely, and I have like an arbour coming through on here, and that's where I have some of my plants that grow up. So let me just come down on here so you can see. If I turn around this way, that's some wild strawberries which are just, can Can you see down on there? Those are my wild strawberries coming through. That's a climbing plant, which is not just about starting to have a few little buds on it. And then that's my clematis. I've got a lovely little crocus. Let's go down in here. Can you see the little crocus just poking through? And I've got a daffodil poking through on the top, trying to get me out of the sun. Just poking the top there. Then I've got down on the garden here, we've got some more daffodils just waiting to come out, so they're pretty good. I've trimmed down some of my roses a bit, which comes through, and then we've got some more daffodils that's come round the other side. Oh, you can't see that very well because it's in the dark. There's more daffodils just about to come out. Go back down this way. The lawn I haven't mown because it's still quite frosty. That's a deer that needs to be restrung. And then I've got little ornaments. As you know, I love hares, so that's one of my hares. If I go down the garden again, you can see down there I've got another hare. My apple tree I've just pruned, or I did that the other day. So let me come back round to there. Some more beautiful daffodils in the garden. And come up onto this bit and we can see what else we've got. We've got, let's go down to some rosemary. So I said I get a lot of my herbs from the garden. And then I've got, this is my little pond. Look on there, it's just coming up on there, and I've cut my fern down. My fern comes up beautifully, and you'll see it as it comes down through the year. But that's my little pond, and a rockery piece at the back with another hare. And then look, little pussy willow. Can you see all the little buds coming through? Really, really pretty. Absolutely lovely. So they're coming through on there. Get up the step. You can see on here, come round this way, you can see how cold it is this morning because it's midday and you've still got, look, that's ice. And you've still got ice out because it's still cold, so that's why I'm not mowing the lawn. I've got some little ornament things. This is my beautiful hydrangea, which is just about starting to bud. That's my lavender bush. That's my sage, which is just coming through from the winter. Right there so you can see it. That's my little olive tree. If I come back there you can see that. That's really beautiful. So that's and that's what I made last year. So these are, let me try and get my shadow out of it there. Can you see my books that I made? So Luna's going to go in the middle of the shadow, coming out of the way. There you are, you can see my little books that I made. So lots of little ideas. I love little ornaments and things around. I've got a little owl. I've got some frogs in the corner. And coming round here, this is my decking, which will need, oh, and there's a lovely little primrose there, which is coming through on here to the plants. And then that's my decking on there, my table and chairs. And then coming round to the back door.